We actually went to have dinner at the Four Seasons just because of the show. The property did a good job because around the pool, there's all panels that say White Lotus.
The show makes it a tourist attraction.
The music's good.
Hey, travel nerds. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it may be. We're happy that you're listening. Today, we have a podcast episode that's going to cover topics like married couples traveling alone, Super Bowl conspiracy theories. This one I've read too deep into. It's too much. And then also White Lotus. So let's start off with the married couples thing. Kenny, I was reading an article and the headline was, "Is solo travel a sign that your marriage is falling apart?" And I was like, well, I love to solo travel. I'm not married. This is a very interesting topic because more and more often married couples are splitting up and traveling alone, you know, not splitting up their marriages, but deciding to take solo vacations and leave their partner behind. This is interesting. What do you think about this? Is it like beneficial to take some time to yourself, or you think this will better your relationship or create friction?
So I think that if you are in this camp that you want to go and take a vacation alone and you're married, I would say it's a huge red flag with one caveat.
Oh.
If you were doing the solo travel thing before that you got together and it was just a part of your life, like I have a friend who travels with one of her best friends, and it's a guy, right? So she travels with one of her best friends. It's a guy. They've been traveling together forever. It's platonic. He's gay. She's married. It's all cool. And it was something that happened before their marriage. So it has continued since. But if you are married and you've never taken a solo trip, and then you're like, you know what? 4, 5, 6, 7 years in, honey, you stay at home, you take care of the kids. I'm going to go do a little solo trip just by yourself. I don't know. Red flag to me.
You think it's a red flag? I see it the other way. I think we live in this world of independence these days, and everybody's trying to highlight you can have your own things. And I think something about traveling that's so prevalent is that it allows you to kind of like rediscover what lights your fire. You know, it's like rediscovering your personal passions. Personal growth is something that kind of slows down when you get married. I'm not speaking from personal experience. I would just imagine that it's hard to kind of feel like an individual person, like taking on new challenges. It always feels like a team dynamic. So I think that like breaking the routine and spending some time alone, in my head, would help your marriage be a little bit stronger because you have things that are yours. It's not just like you're sharing everything all the time, which is the thing about marriage that scares me in the first place.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely terrifying to just be like, oh, I was my own person and now I'm part of this team forever. What?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I can't sub people in, really? There are no subs.
Wait, tough. Like you mean like, husband, I need a 3-month break from you. I need to go with the Gumar. Is that what you're talking about with subs?
I don't even think it would be with someone else, but just like, can I take 3 months to just like to regroup? I'll see you later.
Honestly, if you need 3 months to regroup, you're probably in the wrong marriage, to be candid.
I understand the downfalls of it too. Like upsides are things like, you know, stronger sense of self and like renewed appreciation of each other. But I can see how like the miscommunication would get intense. Probably, I'm sure the jealousy would get a little intense. Hey, I'm going to Bali, honey. Like, can you do, don't forget to do the kids' laundry. Like, I can see how that would be a problem. I think the biggest thing that would cause a strain on a marriage in this situation is the financial aspect of it. Because it's like you probably share a bank account. You probably, you know, split everything expenses wise. And then you're just taking a week and a half trip to Switzerland to go skiing. It's like, ooh, that's tough when it's a shared bank account and you're just like, see ya, swiping your card. I can see how that would be a problem. But overall, I think it's a good idea. I feel like we're making strides.
Maybe I'm warming up to it too, because I have seen this thing that happens with some of our coworkers and just some friends too, not just coworkers to be honest. But I've seen the thing happen with coworkers, colleagues, and friends is when they're on a work trip and throughout the week they're wrestling kids and taking people to soccer, to tutoring, to doing all this crazy stuff. And then they get to spend 3 nights alone in a hotel room. And honestly, when you see it, it seems like they're living. Like they are living for this little escape. So, you know what? Maybe I misjudged, and there is something to it because the escape from normal life is kind of interesting.
Well, and even when you take a vacation, the two of you, right? You're gone, you're probably gone from the kids for a few days. You just start to like vacations put your whole life in perspective and you're like, wow, I worry every single day about pickup and drop off and groceries and laundry, and it kind of gives you a reminder that you're an individual person who's allowed to think about yourself and have a little fun too. So I like the idea. We'll see where this goes trending wise. But for now, it's definitely happening more and more. And I think that the impact is multifaceted and it's totally dependent on your marriage alone. This is not like a general anything we've just said. We get it. Everyone's different. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally.
any relationship I've ever been in, it would be a no-no. So I can see
Oh,
that.
really?
Yeah, oh for sure. It would be like I mean, it's different if it's a girls trip or something, right? But if it's
Totally.
just you going somewhere and there's no
Thank
reason
you.
that they can't come, and then you're just like, no, you can't. And they're like, but why? And you're like,
This
listen.
is just a me thing. Honestly,
You'll ruin it.
every time that I picture like a husband being like, hey, or like a wife too, right? It goes both ways. Every time that I picture a partner saying to the other person, hey, I'm just going to go on vacation by myself. In my mind, I think of Morgan Jay, the comedian, and he has this like little bit and he just goes, suspicious, suspicious as, and he just does that. And every time that I hear that, I'd be like, hey, I'm just going to go take a week for me. I'm going to go nuts on the credit card. You stay here. I would have someone tailing me from the moment I left the house to wherever I went. I would have to get CIA training to lose a tail.
No, I know. That's tough. You're like, next thing you know, you have just 5 dudes following you around in the streets. You're like, am I about to get jumped?
Like,
it's just Diva hired them all.
Who are these people? Okay. That's too funny. Okay. Speaking of vacation, really quick, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you and I covered a story that New York City basically cracked down and made a ban on Airbnbs. As of today, that's still in effect. And Newark and Jersey City are actually seeing a rise in the amounts of listings, which is interesting. But I saw this come across, and this is super interesting. Hawaii is now considering the same thing. Now, why is this? Housing in Hawaii is insane. So here are some stats. So the average home value in Hawaii sits at $831,000, significantly higher than the national average of, do you want to take a guess of what the national average is of a home?
400?
428. Great guess. And
nice.
With today's interest rates, that's like buying what, a $600,000-$700,000 home compared to when interest rates were at 3. So there's definitely an affordable housing crunch. The crazy thing that I read, and now Maui is near and dear to my heart. I've been several times. I think I'm going back in September. Connor, you'll have to miss this because you're going to Hawaii. What a loser.
Australia.
Oh, sorry. You're going to Hawaii. You're going to Australia.
I wouldn't complain about either, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
They're quite similar.
Yeah. So the average or the median list price in Maui is $1.4 million.
What?
Think about that. Yeah.
That's
1.4 million is the median. No one can ever live there. It's just like really wealthy people or people with like vacation rentals. That's it.
I instantly go to like the benefits of a ban. I'm sure there are downsides. Let me think of a few. But like increasing the availability of affordable housing is a big deal, obviously. Allowing people like local workers and families who can't find affordable housing. There's limited supply and high demand. That would be amazing. As far as like preserving character and things like that, that's what reminds me of the New York City situation is you don't want overcrowding or I don't know, local disruption or noise. I feel like the quality of life probably goes down when there's a million Airbnbs open downtown. I'm sure they rake it in though, which is interesting. And then I could also see the hotels being really excited about this, right? Fewer vacation rentals, tourists want to stay in hotels. They're all nice. This contributes more
Less
tax
competition.
revenue, supporting
Yeah.
local jobs. Like I think overall this will benefit the economy in general. But I mean, in that same breath, it's impacting tourism negatively, right?
Less choice, yeah. So for
Yeah.
bigger families, for bigger groups, it's sometimes easier to stay at an Airbnb than to get 2 or 3 hotel rooms, which can be challenging. And 2
Yeah.
and 3 hotel rooms, they're not always next to one another. They could be on different floors. If you have kids, that's stressful. So I definitely see it. I think that the solution here is to put quotas or limits on them, right? To say like, hey, we will allow X amount of homes to be listed on short-term rental platforms. I think that's the way to go. Anyway,
Yeah,
I don't want to get
controlling
too
it.
hung up on it though. Did you watch the AFC Championship game yesterday? Oh
Was
no,
I supposed
really?
to for the pod?
You're one of yes. You didn't see the notes. Producer Molly's going to kill you. But something insane. So 51 million people tuned in to watch the Chiefs games. To put that in perspective, when the Chiefs played Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in 2019, 42 million people watched that game. You add Taylor Swift to the mix, 51 million people watched. Is that the Taylor Swift effect? And
Yes.
we're going to get into, do you think that the NFL is rigged? Because that's what people are saying, because obviously Taylor Swift brings viewership. Like my wife watched the game and all she wanted to do was see Taylor Swift. Every time Taylor Swift came on the screen, my wife was like, oh my God, look, it's her. It's like she's a god, right? So you've been down this rabbit hole. Is the NFL rigged? Because obviously we're filming today and the Chiefs have won. They are going to the Super Bowl. Is the NFL rigged?
Well, let's start off by saying, anything that we talk about is, allegedly, because there's no concrete evidence to support this at all. But did I do some deep, dark digging? Yes. The NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? And their interest in maintaining their integrity is pretty intense because they have a lot of eyes on them, right? So it's unlikely, in my opinion, that they would risk it all by like manipulating games. But I'm here for a good conspiracy theory. I love to think that it might be rigged. And some of the reasons that people think that I listed in bullet points. So inconsistency of officiating. This is interesting. The officiating in the NFL can be controversial. Obviously, the NFL picks the ref, right? Well, the ref for the Super Bowl has been getting a little tricky. I was just reading up on why home teams lose so often with this one guy than with other refs and blah, blah, blah. So the guy that they ended up hiring, his name is this correct? Warren Sharp.
Sean Smith was the referee on the AFC Championship game. You said Super Bowl, which is totally fine.
I have some stats here that are kind of funny. And what they were saying is why some home teams lose so often with this guy than with other refs. So they're trying to uncover some of the like wild penalty trends for this guy. Here it is. So the NFL average of the last 3 years. So it said that over the last 3 years, with other refs, home teams win 55.9%. But with Sean Smith in particular, the home win rates dropped to 40.8%.
Ooh,
Isn't that interesting? And with
very
other refs,
interesting.
home teams cover the spread 50.1%, but with Smith, home cover rates drop to 37%.
Interesting.
Feels like a big difference, no?
Yeah, that's a lot. That's more than a few percentage points for sure.
So I'm interested on that. Other reasons that people think it could be rigged are suspicious betting patterns, like unusual activity at the games. A lot of different factors here, but that's interesting too. The NFL is known for exciting finishes and dramatic comebacks, so some people believe they're manufactured for entertainment purposes, but interesting. What do you know about this conspiracy? I know you looked into it, so let's dive
So
in.
I did look into it. I would say that the easiest way to fix a game would be the referees, right? Because you can throw a BS holding call, or you can throw a suspicious, defensive holding, all of that stuff, right? However, I am friends with a bunch of professional referees, and I do not think that this happens in today's day and age. I think that the referees have too high of integrity. An NFL referee probably makes anywhere from $175,000 to $350,000 a year. They do not want to lose their job blowing a game. And
Yeah. And you
in
get
this
blacklisted, no? Like, isn't it also
uh
like, can't you get charged?
charged with what?
Won't they like receive fines, or don't they get like charged pretty heavily for bribery?
Oh, well, if the referee is taking a bribe, yeah, that would be illegal and you would be fired and removed. I mean, that happened in the NBA with Tim Donaghy, and Tim Donaghy actually ended up going to jail. So I don't think that the
Can you
referees
imagine?
I don't think that the referees take bribes. And honestly, the amount of money that you would have to pay a single referee to take a bribe would probably have to be what, 10 to 15 years of their salary. So are you really going to bribe a referee 3 million, $4 million? Just, that would have to be a very specific person with a very large bankroll. And then anyone who's putting up that big of a bet, that immediately throws up flags. So I actually don't think that the mechanics of rigging a game are real. I think that it's something that people talk about and they're like, oh, conspiracy this, conspiracy that. And they say interesting stats, and those stats are interesting. But I watched the game. The penalties were mostly spot on. So there was nothing that was like a head scratcher. And then one of the biggest moments of the game is when the wide receiver was going in for a touchdown for the Ravens, and he reaches his hand across the goal line. And right before the ball crosses, a Chiefs player swats the ball out. The Chiefs recover it. Like, you can't script that. Those are just grown men, professional athletes going
Yeah.
100 miles an hour doing their thing. And then as far as for the close games, I've played football for most of my life. And what
What did you
happens,
play?
I played quarterback.
Quarterback.
I played
Mr. Hot Stuff playing
Yeah, yeah.
QB.
I
Little
played
Kenny
QB.
Tots out
Yeah,
here.
and when I was out, Kenny Tots.
Kenny
That's what they
Tots
used to call me,
on
to
the
strike
field.
fear. Oh my God,
He
Kenny
looks
Tots.
intense today. Kenny Tots on the field.
Kenny Tots, that nickname, that moniker probably strikes the least amount of fear in your opponent. Oh, look, it's Kenny Tots. Like,
Oh, look, it's
I,
Kenny Tots.
I
Look
sound
out.
like a really short, small, scrawny mobster. Oh shit, it's Kenny Tots. Like, no, that's not a great name. But yeah, so I played quarterback and I played safety, which are my two favorite positions on both sides of the ball. And what actually happens when teams get a big lead, the defense will start to play like a little bit soft, and it becomes a lot easier to just march down the field and score. This happens at the end of halves all the time. In the NFL, it'll be a really tight game, blah, blah, blah. And it'll be the end of the half, and the team on defense starts to go into what's called like a prevent defense. And they basically just like slack off and they give the offense more cushion. And it happens every time. The offense just ends up marching down the field. So I actually take the other side of the coin. I don't believe in the conspiracy, although there have been times where I'm like, oh man, the conspiracy theorists have some fuel to their fire, but I just don't think mechanically that it would work.
I agree with you. I think the game is too complex. There's too many like variables and factors that if you tried to manipulate them, I feel like it would be detectable. And no team would let another team get away with manipulating anything. So it's not like everybody's doing it as a whole. I think if anything, it would be one team here or there. And I don't think they'd ever be able to come out of that unscathed. They'd be like blackballed and taken out of the league or something like that.
Blackballed. Well, speaking of the opposite of black, have you seen that White Lotus is going to be filmed in? That was a good transition, right?
Oh, dang.
He nailed it. Oh my God. The
Caught me
opposite of
off
black,
guard.
White Lotus season 3. Okay. White Lotus season 3 will be filmed in drum roll, please, Matt. Go ahead and put it in post-production. Oh, Connor got it. Okay. White Lotus season 3 will be filmed in Thailand. How do we feel about this?
I love it. What's not to love? I mean, I think the thing about White Lotus is they could pick just about anywhere and it would be an overall win. People love this show. I mean, I couldn't have watched it faster. And everybody that I've ever spoken to feels the exact same way. They're like, I couldn't turn it off. I'm obsessed.
It was so good.
Something that I love about them bringing it to Thailand is that when they brought it to Hawaii and Sicily, there were so many long-term effects from them shooting in those locations that were so positive. Like the increased media coverage and people want to go stay in the same hotel. Like that Sicilian hotel, it's now like on the map forever.
Oh,
it has a ton of history and it never like got the exposure that it possibly could have now. It's called the San Domenico Palace Hotel, but people will come in and ask specifically for like, can I stay in the room where, this couple stayed in White Lotus? That's so cool. What an awesome perk. So I think it'll be a really, really good thing for Thailand.
I am less concerned about the location, and I'm more concerned about bringing Sydney Sweeney back. I don't like how they rotate the cast.
I love that. I think that's what makes it win.
Well, they've had some crossover, but what I'm saying is like Sydney's a little older now. She's out of high school. Let's bring her back and let's see her in Thailand.
You would be cool with her being in anything you ever watched. So don't put that on everyone else. We all want new characters, okay?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you think?
No, but I don't know. I think there's millions and millions of other people that would appreciate Sydney Sweeney coming back to White Lotus.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, speaking of driving tourism, when I was in Maui, we had our own little White Lotus effect. We stayed at, I forget what it's called. It's one of the Marriotts in Wailea. Maybe it's the Wailea Beach Marriott. Beautiful property. Amazing. I was
supposed to go and I didn't. So that's it.
Yeah. You went to Portugal. How did Portugal end up?
It was beautiful. It was wonderful. It's like very, let's see, geographically, jeez, did I just have a stroke? That is a lot different of a place than I thought it was going to be. Like when you're driving towards the coast, it's a lot of like orangey, clay, soily vibes, which I didn't expect. I thought it'd be more tropical. And then you get to the coast and everything there's cliffs everywhere. And all of the cliffs oversee like wildly blue, beautiful water. I was in the Algarve, so it's a little different, but same thing. It was like red, orange clay everywhere. And I just thought it'd be like palm trees and lush green landscapes. And it wasn't, but it was beautiful. It was great.
1 out of 10, you rank it a 7, don't you?
Yeah. I feel like going lower than that would be super rude.
Do I know my girl or what? Come on, nailed that.
I think too, I didn't do it right. I think if I were to go in a different like situation, because I went for work and we really just stayed at like this one place and then you take shuttles to go to dinner and stuff. So there was no like walking around on my own time or going anywhere that I would select to go. So I loved it. I just feel like I didn't really get the like Portugal experience of walking around the little markets and getting seafood in town and things like that. But I had a blast. Don't get me wrong. It was visually super, super beautiful. I just would have done a little bit more like adventure-y type things. So I'll have to go back.
Interesting thing. we were in Maui. We saw the Four Seasons was right down the beach. It's like a 10-minute walk. And we actually went to have dinner at the Four Seasons. I think it's called Spago. I'm maybe blanking on the name, but we had dinner in the Four Seasons just because of the show. And
Cool.
the property did a good job because around the pool, there's all panels that say White Lotus. So they are leaning into it. Yeah, it was really
As
cool.
they should. I mean, the show makes it a tourist attraction, which is so cool. I mean, that hotel was epic anyway. And then they just go ahead and attach it to something so widely beloved. I mean, who didn't like White Lotus? I didn't hear one person in my whole life say it was a bad show. It's fantastic. The way that it makes you feel when you watch it, the like anxiety level that you have watching it.
The music's good. We don't even need the music. We have Connor Ann just so crazy.
You hear that music, you're ready for anything.
What's the most expensive hotel room that you ever purchased with your own money? Because I was just looking it up, and Maui, Four Seasons, Sunday through Thursday, about $1,000 a night, $1,100 a night, and Friday through Saturday, $1,400 a night. What's the
I don't
most
even
that
want to
you've ever
answer this
spent?
question. The most expensive hotel room I've paid for with my own credit card. Probably it's definitely less than $400.
Oh, no way.
For sure. If I'm paying for it on my own credit card, like my girlfriend and I just went to Tampa this weekend on Saturday, and we could have stayed in this nice hotel that was $500. It's not that bad. You just split it down the middle. I forced us to stay at the airport for $200. And we split that in half. And I was like, the rest we'll just spend on Ubers. Well, it was a Lightning game in Tampa and Gasparilla. So there were no Ubers. And we're all the way over by the airport. So I'm like, oh, we'll just get a Lime scooter. No Lime scooters, but there were Lime bikes. So we walked 1.5 miles to the Lime bikes, like under overpasses.
Oh,
and then
no
we
way.
get to the bikes and we're like, oh my God, thank God we're in business. Hop on the bikes. We start skirting along. They're like the e-bikes, which are actually so much fun. And we're like skirting along for, I don't know, 5 minutes. And then the bike like does the thing where it goes, you cannot ride here. So it like stops and makes it really hard for you to ride it. And then we realize the entire downtown of Tampa, this big giant area on the app is red because of the parade. So you can't ride your bike into the city because they blocked it off because of the parade. So no Ubers, no Lime scooters. We walked probably 5 miles. Like we're walking around.
God.
People are like post Gasparilla apocalypse. So you're just walking past the gas station and there's just like a guy sitting on a curb holding himself like, and then you look up by the front of the gas station and there's like 30 kids sitting crisscross applesauce in the parking lot. Everyone's like messed up. It was crazy. It was probably not the most opportune time to go to Tampa, but we had fun. Now that I'm not there walking around anymore, it was really fun. But at the time I was like, whew, we did not look up enough information.
You know what? I kind of take a little bit responsibility for that because I did send you some of those hotels and I didn't think about that. So yeah,
I didn't consider it. Gasparilla is really fun if you're going for that. If you're going for something else, like we were just going for the hockey game and that was on the side, it's a different thing. But Gasparilla during the day, they go in. Like if you like that kind of stuff, parades and a big darty, if you like day drinking, that's the place for you.
Do you like a parade?
No.
I don't like a parade either.
I don't think I do.
I couldn't be more bored standing in place shoulder to shoulder with Janice and Susan, and I'm just watching these floats go by. It does not seem exciting. Like, give me a movie, give me a TV show. Do not make me watch a parade. It's terrible.
I think the thing I love about a parade is that I grew up going to Mardi Gras. So my initial thought is, yeah, a blast. Hello. But then you really think about all the parades you've been to in your whole life. Like the Thanksgiving parade in New York. That sounds like my worst nightmare.
Oh, it sounds like my worst
Like
nightmare too,
I would die. You see these people freezing their asses off. They're all standing in the middle of the street. There's like no bathrooms. There's nowhere to get food and stuff. You're just stuck. I don't know. That doesn't sound like fun to me.
No.
Parades are overrated. We said it here first. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. We should probably wrap up because we have a big day in front of us. We have people flying in to see us.
We
Insane.
do. Oh.
And Ned makes an appearance, flies into the camera. Here he goes onto Khan's shoulder, and he's there.
Say something.
Ned, everyone.
Can you imagine if he just started going? He starts
Or
beatboxing.
no, the coolest thing would be if he was just like,
Oh my God, are you kidding? If he could talk, we'd already have a podcast, him and I.
oh my!
Sure.
I would get the boot. Just Ned would take my place.
No, Ned's not a travel nerd. He's he'd want to talk about like being outside and like how to escape. Those are the type of topics he would want to talk about. How to escape the confines of my really comfortable, spoiled life.
Yeah, you could probably do maybe a whole 1.5 episodes on that. That would be
That's your podcast episode name. How to escape my comfortable life.
Honestly,
Brat.
all right, to do full circle, that actually ties into our first topic, which is the married people going on vacation, because that is a little bit of escapism.
Stop. That would be the perfect book title for that topic. How to escape my comfortable life. Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to know, nerds, what do you guys think about that? Because I can see it from both sides. Kenny's on one side of it. I think I convinced him to the other side. But what do you think? Taking solo trips as a married, one piece of a married couple, how would that affect your marriage? Is it a benefit? Are you asking for, a downside here? What do you think? If I told my grandma that, she'd be like, we never did that. This is a very new thing for married couples to be like, see ya.
Nanny would never.
Yeah, that would never happen back in the day.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. But I can't imagine how people feel who've been married for decades and decades, and you kind of like, maybe you're super happy, but you do kind of like lose that sense of independence. Your like sense of self.
What are you talking about? Decades? What about like 3 or 4 years? It happens way sooner than
sooner than you think. Well, yeah, I can just see how it would be like you kind of feel like everything's an us thing now. I want something to be a me thing.
Yeah, that's why guys play golf.
That's true. That's why girls get gym memberships. We don't actually work out. We just sit in the sauna with our friends and go, oh, isn't it so annoying that he does this?
Right. Oh my God. That's probably so
misery
true.
loves company.
I know. Now it's suspicious why my wife goes to Pilates 6 days a week. Like, is that even healthy? See?
The fact that she goes Pilates all the time, you should be saying, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm like, wait a second. So I thought Pilates was an hour. Why have you been gone for 3 days?
She's like,
I was finding myself
in the night class.
The night
There's
class.
something that happens with your metabolism when you do it at midnight.
At night, yeah.
Instead of 5 p.m.
It's that 4-second count,
Yeah. You can do anything for 20 seconds.
Oh my God. When they say that, I'm like, I have to resist the urge to go crazy. Meet me at the bottom. Okay, Susie. I see you. Reformer number 6. Kill it, girl. It's just me and like 7 chicks. They never say anything to me because I'm like huffing and puffing, taking breaks. These girls are putting me to shame. Honestly,
there's always that one girl that like the teacher favors her. So she's like, everybody just look at Tiffany. Tiffany's doing it perfectly. Just follow her lead. And then in your head, you start just like comparing yourself to Tiffany. And then you leave the class and you look at her and you're kind of like, do you do that in there? Or is that just a me problem?
No, it's just you, problem. No. Speaking of you at Pilates, I ran into a clone of you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So she
a
was like
clone. I was
hella
like,
cute and fun.
Connor, and I was like, why are you so? You're like only 10 feet away from me, but you're already like low key annoying me. And I was like, oh, it must be your
It
clone.
must be her. You're like, the difference is Connor Ann would be actually dying and heaving on the floor of this Pilates class, and she's killing it. So they're definitely not clones. They're not this.
This girl was good. Yeah, she was good, but she was. I looked and I was like, what the fuck?
No way. Should we become friends just in case, like,
You
I
should,
need somebody
yeah.
to do a meeting for me or
Step in.
like
Yeah.
hang out with my dad? Like, if I'm busy that day, I'm like, hey, just
A body
meet him
double.
here. Yeah. He'll
Yeah,
never
for
know
sure.
the difference. Just wear a baseball cap. We're good.
You'll be good. Just a little travel nerd's pink hat and you'll be in business.
I actually knew, I knew two girls when I was in middle school. They were identical twins and they did play the game. They did play that game.
No, that's so cool.
And I knew
That's
because I played volleyball with one of them. And so I was at volleyball practice and we always got paired up in the same group to do like jumps and conditioning and all the crazy stuff. When you think back on the conditioning you used to do for like high school sports, you're like,
Crazy.
That was next level. How was I even doing that? I was a full-blown athlete. But I remember she couldn't do this, like we were doing libero training where you have to like get down really low and get the back middle and like cover the whole back of the court. And then you're supposed to roll out of it. So you like put your right arm straight and you get down really close to the ground and then you have to roll on your back to stand up. And she couldn't do it. And she was always really good at it and she wasn't pulling it off. I couldn't even tell the difference in the way that they looked. And then a little bit later, she was like, I can't do this to you anymore. She's like, I'm Tiffany. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what? I'm like friends with these girls and I couldn't tell the difference. So they would like kind of swap in and out of stuff. And she told me that she's taken like, one of them was really good at math and one of them was really good at English and they would like switch some days.
No.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's cool because you hear about it, but you're like, does that really happen? I've seen it. It was cool. I was like, damn, I need a twin immediately.
Well, come to Pilates.
Yeah, I'm going to hit up this girl for sure. How much do you think I have to pay her to like fill in for me sometimes?
A few bucks.
If I also fill in for her sometimes, we can probably just call it even.
Yeah, it's a swap.
It's fair. All right, cool. Did we cover all the topics? Is there anything you're just like dying to get out that you haven't?
No, but we have to go.
Yeah, we actually have to go. We're going to meet our sales team. Have our in-person sales training. It'll be so fun. Okay, cool. Well, let's get out of here. What do you guys think? Is solo travel when you're married crazy or completely reasonable? Is the Super Bowl rigged or not? I feel like this is going to cause some problems on the clips. And then also White Lotus. We're so excited for it to come out. I know that it's going to be sometime in the summer, ? But super excited. I hope that show never dies. I could watch it forever. Anyways,
Sydney Sweeney, come back.
Sydney Sweeney, we're waiting for you. Or Kenny.
Sweener.
Sydney Sweener. Okay. All right. Later, nerds.